Hey guys, welcome to Open Heart Conversations. I'm your host, Chinwe Hearts, and today we're going to be talking about bitterness and unforgiveness and how it is literally keeping you sick. So, me and one of my good friends had a conversation, and we were talking about how just it's so easy to want to do things for people and help people, but the frustration that comes when it's not reciprocated. So it's just like you help a friend out, you get them to help you get a job or something, and a simple thank you or like, hey, I really appreciated that, showing some gratitude. It's not done. It's just like almost like they were owed that. And we had this discussion about, hey, did God ask you to do these certain things? First and foremost, it's nothing to be kind to someone and to lend a helping hand when you're able to. But certain times we overexert ourselves in with things that we do for other people. And it's like, did God even ask you to do that? And then in doing so, why is there an expectation of any sort of reciprocation? But then on the flip end, why is it that people don't show simple gratitude for the simplest things? I don't know, maybe a topic of maybe some simple communication could assist with that. Really walking through that and expressing your feelings. It's so much to unpack in that type of situation. But the biggest thing I want to focus on and talk about in this podcast is just the bitterness, the unforgiveness is keeping you sick and making you sick also. So another thing that I have just realized or saw a pattern of is a lot of patients come in. A lot of these patients, they have long lists of health issues. And with me, when I'm doing my holistic or functional health assessment on my patients who are seeing me for chronic issues, one of the questions or a handful of the questions I ask is, do you struggle with loneliness and isolation? Do you feel a strong sense of life purpose and satisfaction? What activities bring you joy and fulfillment? And your mental health, like what stressors and level of stress are you experiencing on a day-to-day basis? I also make them do a PHQ-9 test to kind of, it's another list of questions to assess their mental health status. I really like to get a full gauge, a full picture of what is this person going through, because a lot of their health issues are triggered by stress, triggering inflammatory processes within the body, causing cortisol elevation, causing gut health issues, causing constant migraines, causing difficulty sleeping. So I find quickly once you address the stressors, the body kind of starts to level out. The biggest thing, a lot of people don't even know that they're under this day-to-day stress and that it's making them sick and what it's doing to the body. But also when you dig deeper and even further unpack the stressors that they have, you see that there's trauma, there's unforgiveness, there's bitterness at the root of what is going on. So I, just being the nerd that I am, I started to go through different research articles, and I wanted to really give you or paint a picture of scientifically what is going on with the body when there is bitterness and unforgiveness, and what research has been done to show that. And this article that I found, I want to say it's the National Institute of Health. A research study was done, and it showed that chronic anger puts you in flight or fight mode, which results in numerous changes in your heart rate, blood pressure, immune response, and those changes then increase your risk for depression, heart disease, diabetes, among other conditions. Forgiveness, however, calms stress levels, leading to improved health. Another article stated, unforgiveness originates from the unresolved emotional pain experienced by the victim, for instance, anger, which then becomes an enduring state that affects the victim's overall health. Unforgiveness may be more than an emotion, as it encompasses the negative emotion, judgment, and behavior that ensues the hurtful event. This was from 2018 article, A Recent Development on the Theory of Unforgiveness. And it's just so much more, so much, it further breaks down what unforgiveness, what bitterness, what anger is doing to the body. Scientifically, we see that. Scientifically, we can see that, hey, this is what's triggering this cascade of illnesses and sicknesses. But what we're doing in the healthcare industry, well, let me not say we're, because that's something I really avoid doing, is medicating based on symptoms and not on the root cause of what is going on in the patient. Let's unpack that. Let's get some healing. I'm a firm believer in prayer, fasting, meditating on the word, therapy. I think sometimes there's a stigma with therapy that, you can't, if you're a believer and you're going to God, that you can't use therapy. But therapy, I believe God has gifted these therapists with the skill to be able to help individuals unpack their traumas and unpack unforgiveness and help them walk through that and find healing eventually. Another article stated rumination, which is a habit of persistently, repetitively dwelling on negative thoughts, past mistakes, or problems without reaching a solution, often worsens anxiety and depression. So that rumination is that repetitive reliving of what you've experienced, reliving of that trauma. And I did some reading in the past on this. Every time you sit and you constantly replay a traumatic event in your mind, your body full on is experiencing it all over again as if it is happening real time. So every time you think about, oh, this is what happened to me, this is what was done to me, your body is going through that same fight or flight, stressors increasing, cortisol being elevated, and your body is overworking to try and bring it back to a point of calm and peace. Every time you just think about the trauma that has been happening to you. That's why it is so important to come to a place where you release it, you let it go, you free yourself from that, because in the end, you're doing more damage to yourself than you are doing to that person. And one thing I always say is, when you get to a point of trying to forgive and release, it's not saying, hey, I forgot what the trauma that this person did to me. It's not saying that you condone the trauma that they put you through. And it's not saying that you're allowing them back into your life. It's just a form of release and letting it go from yourself so that you do not continue to hold on to it and allow sickness and bitterness to take root. I broke down some key steps to forgiveness, and I just wanted to share that with y'all. So acknowledging the process, acknowledging and processing emotions. So allowing yourself to feel the anger, feel the pain, the betrayal, rather than just suppressing it. Journaling it, talking about it, talking to a trusted friend, a therapist. That's the beginning of releasing. Then deciding to forgive, making that conscious effort, like I stated, an active decision to stop the rumination, stop the repetitive thoughts and harping on what was done to you. Stop reliving the trauma. Developing empathy, trying to understand the context. And this will help you, I guess, give some perspective. Not saying like they're justified in what they did to you, not saying that you deserved what was done to you. It's just almost developing some empathy and understanding that hurt people hurt people. And it's not okay. But they have healing that they need to undergo. They have healing that they need to go focus on. And they didn't know, they haven't had that healing yet, or they haven't worked through their process, and that's why you became a victim of their hurt. Releasing the need for vengeance. letting go of the desire to see that person hurt or punished. And that mindset is just like free. It's like, okay, I'm letting this go. I'm going to let God handle this, whatever it will be. I don't wish ill on you. I don't wish harm on you, but I have to release. I have to let this go. And then practicing self-compassion, forgiving yourself and not blaming yourself for whatever issues you may have went through, whatever trauma you may have experienced, whatever bitterness, whatever someone has done to you, allowing yourself to have compassion for yourself and not see it that it is your fault. Another thing, what forgiveness is not. It's not excusing, it's not reconciliation, and it's not immediate. These things don't happen overnight. It's a slow process. It takes time. For some people it takes years, it takes months, some people may take days. The timeline is different for each person because the trauma is at different levels. For some it's pretty superficial. For some the trauma is so deep, the hurt is so deep, and that's going to take some time to unpack, release, forgive, and get to a point of just full out healing. When we talk about bitterness, unforgiveness, causing sickness and health issues, I broke it down and I showed you a couple of articles or a few articles that talked about it on the scientific level. And it gets even deeper. I can definitely post links to these articles in this posting description so that you can feel free to go dig deep, read on your own, and really get a full understanding of what bitterness and unforgiveness are doing to you on a physical level. But to bring things back biblically, the Bible speaks of forgiveness and unforgiveness between 120 to 130 times it's mentioned in the Bible. That's how you know, like, this is not a small thing. This is a big thing that so many people are going through and so many people are experiencing. So I brought some Bible verses that I have been meditating on that I feel like, hey, let me share these. Let's talk about it. Let's unpack it. And this one's Mark 11:25 through 26. And it says, and when you stand praying, if you hold anything against anyone, forgive them so that your Father in heaven may forgive you for your sins. Biggest thing, like, how can we expect God to forgive us for things that we do and we sin on a daily basis, especially if you're a believer? How can you go to God and say, hey, God, forgive me for what I've done. Forgive me for how I've wronged this person. Forgive me for how I've wronged you or sinned against you, when you have bitterness and animosity and unforgiveness towards someone else. It's quite hypocritical to really do that when you really think about it. Another verse is Hebrews 12:15. See to it that no one falls short of the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. Right there you see that bitterness, that unforgiveness. It takes root. If you let it sit in your life and you continue with the rumination of the negative thoughts, the negative habits of unforgiveness, it's going to take root, and eventually it will defile you. It will manifest into some sickness and illness, and I see it on a daily basis. This is why I'm speaking on this as a healthcare provider. It's both scientifical, it's spiritual, it's really all encompassing. Any way you put it, the way that unforgiveness and bitterness happens and what it does to the body is something that really can be thoroughly studied. Obviously, I mean, there's articles on it. So it's something to understand that, hey, you think that little grudge that you may be holding against someone and you think it's nothing, it is affecting you. It's affecting you in a way that you can't even see. The next Bible verse I have is Ephesians 4:31-32. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, brawling, and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other just as Christ, God, forgave you. I mean, he's given us the blueprint. And like I said, it's easier said than done, understandable. But we need to make that conscious effort to walk through forgiveness, healing, and letting go of any trauma, any hurt, any rage, anger, whatever that may be just creating a roadblock in our life. And you'll see not only will it set you free from just feeling in bondage, but it'll set you free from potential development of sickness and illness. And then I had another verse on my iPad I want to share with y'all. Let me see. Proverbs 17:22 says, "A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones." A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. That's Proverbs 17:22. It's like, man, the same way that we make it a habit to, okay, I'm going to go work out, I'm going to go meal prep, is the same way we got to pour into our spiritual life, pour into our mental health, and make sure that area is tightened up as much as the physical activities that we're doing, because the spiritual is unseen. We don't know what's going on in that realm like fully because you can't see it. So the biggest thing is to make sure your heart is pure. Make sure you are creating an atmosphere of love. Make sure you are creating a space for healing in your life. And I feel like the biggest thing the biggest word for me, or the biggest topic, I guess I'll say, is that rumination. And I hear it so much with patients, friends, that constant reliving of negativity, of trauma, of bitterness, of what was done to me, and this and that, and just that holding on to it and the anger that it creates. You can even just listen to the tone of someone's voice when they're talking about or reliving a traumatic event, and the anger and the stress that builds up in them when they're discussing that. It's like, gosh, that can't be good for the body. That can't be good for the body. So the biggest thing I want to leave you with, that I just hope that you can take away, is, hey, set up some boundaries, setting up healthy boundaries for yourself, so that there is no opportunity for using and abusing of you. You understand what you can give, you understand what you can take from people, and having those boundaries allows a level of protection from any hurt, pain, trauma, anger, or bitterness to take root. The next thing were the key steps to forgiveness that I discussed: acknowledging your emotions, deciding to forgive, developing empathy, shifting your perspective, releasing the need for vengeance, and practicing self-compassion. These are things that are going to take some work, and it's the daily habitual routine of doing these things will help you get to a place of releasing, living in a place of peace, with forgiveness, with a cheerful heart, and possibly preventing the development or manifestation of certain sicknesses and illnesses that are based on, or that come about because of trauma, hurt, unforgiveness that have taken root. I pray that this topic has edified you. I pray that those of you who are in a situation where you have so much unforgiveness and hurt, that you come to a place of forgiveness, peace, and release. I pray for healing for those who are dealing with chronic illnesses or diseases that may have already manifested. But at the end of the day, God is a healer. He's a healer. So no matter what a provider says, no matter what your doctor says, no matter what your caregiver says, God has the final say. biggest thing is bring yourself to a place of healing and forgiveness and watch him do the work. Make sure you go like, subscribe, comment, and stay tuned for our next video.